Hello and welcome to York County. I'm your host, Lynn Turner Fitzgerald. Joining me today, Derek Yeager and Annemarie Fowler, both with Disaster and Emergency Services. But thank you for being here. Welcome. I'm going to let both of you give your titles because they're slightly different, right?
Correct.
Annemarie, you are?
I am the DES coordinator for Yellowstone County.
And I'm the director of the department.
Okay. So what does the coordinator do that the director doesn't do? You're sort of the vice president?
Kind of.
Yeah.
We'll call it that, yeah,
Okay.
sure. I'll take that title. No, I typically manage a lot of special projects, so he is doing the 1,000-foot view. He's doing the one-on-one with stakeholders, spearheading plans. I do the details, the finishing work. I handle the emergency mass notification system for the county.
Mm-hmm.
That's my baby. So if people have questions, that's who they're probably talking to.
We're going to talk to you about that in just a few minutes. And Derek, overall, your duties are?
Well, they're pretty diverse. It's everything from county wildland fires, grass fires, those kinds of things, to interfacing with refineries, railroads, chemical companies, hospitals, responder agencies, kind of that 10,000 foot, are we all talking about the same things, all on the same sheet of music, kind of more strategic planning sort of an approach there.
Sounds like a lot of bells to ring.
It can be. We're very fortunate in the sense that we have a lot of very good people in a lot of very key positions.
Yeah.
A lot of this is maintenance, it's planning, it's considering some low frequency but high risk type operations, things that could happen, checking the boxes on more standard and routine things, but then a lot of situational assessment of where are we with this, how's the weather look, what hazards does it present, could it combine in certain ways and present these sorts of hazards out, and really from one end of the county all the way to the other.
Well, with 3 refineries, there's certainly potential for disaster.
Absolutely. You know, we're fortunate in the sense that we don't live in places like Tornado Alley, right? But that doesn't mean that we're entirely immune. And over the years, we have things like you mentioned, the refineries, railroad, the interstates. Folks, I think, would probably be rather shocked to know what kinds of materials come through here on a fairly regular basis.
Like what?
Lots of certainly hazardous materials.
On trains and on the interstate?
Trains, interstate, everything from hydrofluoric acid that is used in manufacturing and process at refineries and places, to chlorine in tanks and bottles of different sizes for things like water treatment facilities, swimming pools, and other things. So there's a lot of really good people, and we interface pretty consistently with people from those refineries and railroads on different practices, safety scenarios. Just in the last few months, I've been to all 3 refineries, going through different training scenarios and what if type things.
Well, they must have their own set of safety protocols.
And substantial.
And then you weave into that somehow.
Correct, yeah. And they practice really routinely things that go on inside of their own facilities, and they're actually very good at it. They have their own fire teams, rescue teams, spill teams, things of that nature. And our level of involvement comes when should something happen inside of their boundary and then expand outwards, something that would interface with the public, the roadways, subdivisions adjacent to it. What happens if they require more resources than what they just have?
What do you have available in terms of resources to give them? We're
very fortunate in our area, Billings being the largest city in Montana.
So far.
And it's really a big town with some small city issues.
Right, yeah.
And however, we host one of the regional hazmat teams, and that's the Billings Fire Department. And the state contributes a fair amount of funding for specialized equipment, trainings, and there's people here that deal with hazardous materials on a fairly regular basis. In addition to those refinery teams, those refineries also cooperate together. So if one refinery needs a little bit more firefighting oomph or some specialist help, they actually cooperate together quite extensively.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but that's a good thing.
It is.
So Anne-Marie, what got you interested in disaster?
I grew up in disaster.
Well, didn't we all?
So the running joke in my family is that I was raised on end of the world films, so Twister, 2012. That's what we would watch for family movie night.
Yeah.
My father works in private sector for doing emergency communications, radio interoperability. So our family vacations, we would go to trade shows. So I would be hanging out with the sheriff and anybody and everybody that deals with public safety. So when I finished up my undergrad, I was like, I think I want to continue school, and
Well,
this
that's
seemed like
great.
a really good fit. So
No, that's awesome.
yeah.
So what were your steps then to get there, to get where you are now?
Well, I started, my undergrad is in political science,
Okay.
with a minor in international studies. So I was thinking of actually going into the foreign service and working at an embassy.
Oh.
Plans change, and I was like, I've had my travel. COVID kind of killed that bug hard. And I was like, I'm okay with staying local. And so I was trying to find a master's program that would, again, I could still do critical thinking. If I could work public safety, that would be great. And this really fit kind of what I wanted to do. It fit my experience, and it fit the things that I like to research in my personal time. So I started with an internship with Casey, the former director, for about a year, and then his secretary was retiring, and they were creating a new position that was kind of a hybrid with about 5% admin, and the rest was going to be helping him with director duties, whether it's planning.
They saw you
exercises.
coming, didn't they?
Yeah,
they did.
He was like, I'm going to seize my opportunity.
Right.
And so
Don't
he
leave
did.
me.
Yeah, he did. And I've been here 3 years.
Well, is it the kind of job where you're always sort of on edge?
It can be. There's definitely the potential to go overboard and go into the paranoia field, but that's where you got to balance it with being prepared versus probability. So we could be prepared for a tsunami, but we're in Montana, so the chances of that happening are, again, very, very, very low risk to improbable because we don't live
Let's
on a waterfront.
hope so.
Exactly. If we have a tsunami in Montana, we're having a bad day.
Yeah.
So again, it's tailoring what to be prepared for with what's most likely to happen. So your high probability of occurrence, also with your high probability of damage.
Okay, so paranoia subjects, the Yellowstone caldera.
That is a paranoia subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you can go down that rabbit hole, but
Doesn't matter how prepared you are, right?
yeah, figuring out what you can do with what you've got, and
Right.
if
Maybe
that happens,
this-
there's going to be a bad day for a lot of people.
The tsunami meets the caldera, maybe it's a happy medium. I mean, I don't know. Derek, what about you? You are pretty new to this position, about a year, right?
Yeah, right about 13 months.
How did you get here?
I've been involved in one manner of public safety or another for the last 26 years, and so I did wildland firefighting professionally for the federal and state government for about 22 years. Worked in 20 different states, a few different countries.
Wow.
Everything from hands-on firefighting work, line digging, helicopter and aviation operations, and left that and went down and managed the city's 911 center for a couple of years. And then here about 13 months ago, the opportunity came up to make a leap here into this position, and so took that step.
Okay, so communications. Now, Anne-Marie, that's kind of your thing, isn't it? The public awareness system or public alert system.
That is.
We still have sirens, but kind of,
The sirens are up on poles,
yeah,
but it is not a functional system.
they're done.
They're done.
Okay.
They were sunset back in 2017, 2018.
When were they here? In the 50s? 60s?
Before my time. Way
Okay.
before my time.
Derek, do you know?
Yeah, they were Cold War era.
Oh, okay, so
And they were-
60s.
Yeah, the siren system was originally implemented kind of piece by piece, and they were Cold War era equipment, and there was some little bit of upgrades and modifications, but their sole intent at the time was the Cold War era scare for civil defense. Over time, that migrated kind of away as that threat faded, and they became almost entirely for the purposes of tornadoes.
Yeah, weather alerts, okay.
Researching the subject, again, neither one of us were here during that time, but The operation of that system, given its age, was becoming really quite expensive. And the county commissioners at the time, and this was again back in that 2017 time frame, made the decision to depart from that system and go with a more integrated, more technologically advanced
Right.
community alerting and warning system.
So was there, back in the old siren days, was it federally funded, or did every county have to pony up their own money? Do you know?
It's a combination of both, and
Okay.
so there are still locations throughout the state of Montana that have no warning system for any measure of hazard.
Oh,
The majority of the infrastructure that was in Yellowstone County, and it went all the way from Custer to Laurel, it was fairly significant infrastructure, was a combination of federal funding and county funds.
okay. But today, we have our smartphones.
Or a landline, or an email.
Or a landline.
Yeah,
Okay, so
so-
tell me about the new system.
Okay, so the new system uses the Everbridge mass notification platform.
Okay,
We have the ability to brand it for local, so we use it and call it Yellowstone County Informed. You can sign up online. You can sign up on your smartphone. You can send our department an email and we'll help. You can call me and I'll help.
okay.
My goal for this system is to sign up as many people as possible. How that happens, I'm not picky. Kind of here to dispel a couple myths about it. It's not just a smartphone. It's not just an app on your smartphone.
Right.
If you have a landline, if you have an email, if you can get text messages on your dumb
Yeah.
smartphone or on your dumb phone,
Yeah. Well,
many different ways.
I'm here to tell you, I did it.
Mhm.
I did it, through email because I don't really care for apps. But
Yeah.
I'm getting alerts on everything I selected.
correct.
You can opt out of certain alerts, right?
Yes.
But like garbage collection day came up, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now I know.
Yeah. So I pulled up because I wanted to see what you signed up for. I was like, is Lynn signed up?
Yeah.
Because if not, I can help her.
Yeah.
And you're right. You selected the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday garbage pickup. Now some people are like, well, my pickup's on Tuesday, and I only want to know about Tuesday, but they've signed up for all 4. So I get an email or a phone call, and they grumble, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about all the other days that my trash
Right.
isn't getting picked up. So I pull up and I go, oh, you signed up for every day. I can take off Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday because you only care about Tuesday.
Right.
And they're like, please. Cool.
Done.
Done.
Can you go back into your original settings and,
Yeah.
and alter
Again,
them?
you can do it or I can do it. Some people are like, I don't want to deal with that. Cool.
Right.
So I'd much rather they call me and I go in and edit it for them
Sure.
at their request than have them delete it.
Okay.
Because then they're still signed up. If they have me do it, they're still signed up. They're getting the notifications they want.
Right.
As opposed to them going, oh, I'm done with this. And now they're not going to get it, or it's going to be harder for them to get it.
Right.
So,
But we don't have a lot of people signing up.
correct.
Like less than 10% of the population. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Of the county?
As of this morning, we had 15,768 records, and about 28% of those were people that had signed up themselves. So the rest of those were ones that were part of the old Code Red system that we moved over. Now, I have gotten told, well, I signed up for Code Red and I'm not in the system. Okay, well, we moved that at the end of November 2023, when we moved over to the new system. So we became aware of it. I had a gentleman call in December of 23. I signed up for Code Red. And I was like, you're not on my list. When did you sign up? He's like, oh, I signed up in December. We lost access to the system because our contract ended and we had started with the new system.
But you were
But
able to move everybody over.
I was able to move everybody
What happened to
over.
that guy?
We signed him up on the phone.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, it really is pretty simple.
yeah.
But, getting people informed is, I guess, another story.
Yeah, well, again, it's I don't have a smartphone. You don't need one.
You don't need it.
Oh, I don't have a computer. You don't need one.
Because if you have a landline,
You can call me and I can help you.
so it's just a message that comes across the landline, similar to the messages you get
so
online.
when you sign up, you have a variety of options. You can have up to 5 addresses signed up. So like I've got my house, my parents, my brother, places of my job, my husband's job, places that I want to know if something's going on. Those are my 5 locations. And then I have a variety of options to sign up for phone numbers. So like I have my cell phone number, I've got my email, but I've got it phone call, text, and email.
Okay.
You can pick how you want to be notified. We recommend having at least 2 options, and we recommend that you don't have email as your first option, because the system will read it and say, I sent you an email, and your system said, we got the email, we're good, and that's how you're notified. So if you're not checking your email, or if you're not getting notifications on your phone about your emails, when you check your emails, when you get notified.
Right.
It's very passive,
Right.
as opposed to getting a text or a phone call, whether it's to your cell phone or a push notification through the app.
And you can have all of the above too,
You can
right?
have all of the above, yeah.
Well, that's pretty slick, and it's free.
And it's free.
Just got to get signed up.
Just got to get signed up.
What do you think, Derek, the biggest challenge is for your position? It sounds like maybe coordination. There's a lot of players out there.
There's a lot of players. I think, daily, the challenge is everybody, law enforcement does law enforcement things, firefighting does firefighting things.
Of course.
And we're actually really pretty good at it.
Yeah.
We tend to read about things, and I think it's just more available because social media information's almost instantaneous. The reality of that is a lot of those kinds of things have been going on for a very long time. A lot of us just didn't know about it because we read it maybe the next day in the newspaper. Maybe bigger events would land on the news in the evenings.
Now, were these fake events?
Nope, these are real things, and so we look at that and we say, geez, there's always something going on. But I think the challenge in the position is we're all very well practiced in our individual spaces, and when something of magnitude arises and it requires several different entities, agencies, different disciplines to integrate in a larger scene, and it challenges the capacity or capability of any one entity to handle. It's just keeping that measure of what's going on where, what would be needed, what are the worst case scenarios, making contact, having a quick conversation. That's probably the biggest challenge. We're not an area that is short on resources. There's a lot of folks that want to help. There's a lot of people who volunteer, who wish to be involved, that have some sort of skill set or resource to offer, and the proper configuration and how that works. You think about larger scale incidents, perhaps hazardous material evacuations, where do those people go? Even fires of certain kinds and types. Sure, you put water on it, but what does that water now have? Where does it go into the storm system?
Oh, yeah.
What are the impacts? There's always something happening. The trick is, like I said, just that coordination between all of the different parties and
Right.
players involved.
Now, what about some of the smaller communities within Yellowstone County? Are you sort of a constant presence? Do you go around
It's
and
more of a
visit those?
behind the scenes.
Okay.
So for example, just last evening, had 4 or 5 different conversations with some folks out in Custer, far east end of the county. Kind of a lightning storm went through late yesterday afternoon, kicks off a couple fires, communicating with them about what's that fire look like, do you have enough of what you need. Consequently, something even that size and the distance away from town, they take all of their firefighting units completely way north of the county. And what happens if something happens there then? What's next? Who goes? Putting people on notice to say, hey, you're next up if this goes this direction. So a lot of it's pretty well behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you get involved with severe hailstorms at all?
To a limited degree, in the sense that those are not things you can prevent. You can sure notify.
right.
You can sure, try to encourage people to take some responsibility to become prepared for it themselves. During the storm, there might be some consideration for traffic flows, road closures due to flooding, ditches flooding, being overtopped. Certainly any sort of power outages, medical emergencies during the storms,
Right.
traffic flows. A lot of that is very well handled by first responders. It's just a measure of knowing what's going on. After the fact, there are some considerations to does public infrastructure still exist? Is it operable? Things like power, groundwater, wastewater, roadways, culverts, bridges. And are there things then that in certain scenarios, if the damage assessments are high enough, we can approach the state or federal government for help with individual property owners, but that threshold over the last few years has gone quite high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering about your budget. Do you have access to things that you need, the resources you need, or is it always a request to the state or the feds?
I would say probably for 99% of what occurs on a routine basis throughout the year, there are significant amount of resources locally. Fire departments work with fire departments constantly, and so some of the grass or rangeland fires around, they automatically assist each other on a routine. Law enforcement is in the same regard. Billings Police Department, Yellowstone County Sheriff, Montana Highway Patrol work with each other pretty much on a daily basis, one call to the next. There's a lot of resources. There are certainly occasions, larger fires or say something in the hazardous materials realm, that we would have to approach the state and federal government for, whether it be financial resources or actually operational units. But those things are kind of the one-offs. It's fairly rare that would happen.
And what is the role of FEMA in disaster and emergency services?
The role of FEMA is not very well understood.
You know.
And if you look back, and not most people would not do this, but just given the nature of our occupations, we do. FEMA was originally created to come in after the fact. They are not
after the disaster
after
happens.
the disaster, and their focus is on whatever has happened has already happened, and they attempt to pick up the pieces.
Okay.
So they look at things, they have a chart called community lifelines, and what kinds of things make a community tick. What does it have to have in place that was disrupted by, the flood, the hurricane, whatever it
Right.
was, and starts off down this priority chart, but it's very much after the fact. I think sometimes we tend to associate FEMA with being immediately present and coming in, and that's just not a reality.
That's not okay. Yeah, because I was thinking they're like on the spot.
No, Hurricane Katrina, in the terms of FEMA, Hurricane Katrina really kind of changed their perspective.
How so?
It was one of the times that they were deployed before the fact.
Or like
And
pre-staged.
pre-staged, and there was some consideration to here's what is coming, and it was likely to have this level of ramification, and that has really since kind of changed their dynamic.
Well, nobody could predict what Katrina did.
And you can't prevent it, so you're literally left to pick up the pieces in an attempt to establish.
I think that's still going on in parts.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there's places. I mean, Mother Nature can assimilate circumstances that they're just uncontrollable. All you can really do is respond to as it comes,
Right.
and do the best that you can. And I think one of the, again, as I said, one of the common misconceptions around FEMA is that they're going to be there in full force before or maybe during a scenario, and really their perspective and their main focus is after the fact.
Okay.
They help with the recovery.
Yes.
So like mitigation, that's before the disaster happens. You're trying to reduce either the damage potential or the risk of occurrence. Natural disasters, there's only so much you can do to mitigate them from happening. You can just try to make it so that they don't damage as much. Response is what happens, the bad day is here,
Yep.
it's happening now. That's
We're
when
on
your
it.
local people are going to be going just straight into it. They're
Right.
going to be responding, they're going to be rescuing, they're going to be doing their job above and beyond what they normally do because it's a bad day. Recovery, that's really where FEMA comes in. That's the bad day has passed. Everything's kind of settled down, because if it's a flood, FEMA can't come in until you've done your damage assessments, and you can't do that until everything's no longer underwater. So there's that time aspect, there's that delay, because I can't assess how much damage has occurred to a building when it's still got 6 feet of water in it.
Right. No.
I can say, it's probably not going to look great, but I can't do a full assessment until it's no longer full of water. So again, it's delay because time. You got to wait for things to settle down to where we're no longer putting responders and like our office into harm's way when we go out and do damage assessments, when Public Works goes and assesses the road. You can't assess the road if it's underwater.
Right.
That's an unfortunate fact of it. And so you go out, you do your damage assessments, you say, oh, this is bad, this is probably going to cost. You start getting your numbers, your rough estimates of what it's going to cost to fix it. You do your emergency fixes to, our duct tape and bubble gum to get it functional and safe until we can fix it back to what it needs to be. Like what we saw out on Gable Road last year with the culvert out by Shipton's. They had that blocked off for a while because they had done their emergency repairs to keep it from getting worse. But that road was still limited for a while because they were waiting to see if they could get federal funding to fix it.
Right, okay.
So we've exceeded local capacity. We've gotten everything kind of calmed down and at least tided over. Then we go to the state and say, hey, we need help. And they go, okay, have you met your damage threshold that we've assessed? And if the answer is yes, they're like, okay, what can we do for you? And then if it exceeds them, then they go, oh, we need help. Then they go to the federal level and they go, okay, have you exceeded your damage threshold that we've assessed? And then you have to turn in all your documentation, and it's a lot. And then they go,
I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Exactly. It's not a fast process.
No, and it
that
should
kind of-
be faster.
That kind of leads back to my point of, you know, the majority of emphasis in emergency management is on having communities who are very well organized, prepared to work together
Yeah.
in order
Okay.
to limit that, because at the point that becomes exceeded, it is simply not a fast process.
No. Okay. We got about a minute left. I want to go back to the communication system because people need to get this.
They do.
And it's not difficult. If
It's
I can
not.
do it, I promise you anyone can do it. So, what is it called again?
It's Yellowstone County Informed.
Okay.
Best way to do it is either Google that or go to the county website.
Your website.
County website, our website.
Okay.
The city's put some stuff out on their Facebook page. I think it's been a minute, but it is there.
Oh,
If
good.
you have questions, you can email our department. It's ycdes@YellowstoneCountyMT.gov. You can call our office, 406-256-2775, and we'll help you with it.
And you are in now with the commissioners, right? Or on the commissioner level in Stillwater building?
We're in the third floor of the Stillwater building.
Right.
Third floor is the county part of that building. Soon we will be moving down the street there to
Again.
the county administration, or as it was more recently renamed, the Austin
The Austin,
building.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, both of you, for being here. I learned
Thanks
a
for
lot
having
today.
us.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.